Okay, we got the faucet mocked up, just lightly connected up to the sub outs from the wall. Everything looks pretty legit. It connects easy enough. This is all the way that it should be. I like this soap dish on top. This is this is a signature hardware product, so it's probably got a really heavy chrome or multiple chrome plate on it, you know, multiple layers. It'll last a nice long time. Soap is very basic, obviously, and a lot of times it'll work on a chrome soap dish like this, and just over time and just eat that up. It very well may, but of course it's got a lifetime warranty being from Signature Hardware, and I'm sure you can just get another soap dish, although I don't foresee issues for some time. It does have some mobility, so I want to make sure that the base or the vessel sink isn't so small that we miss that by accident if this is turned and you turn the water on. But overall, the mock-up is pleasant. I got the light just stuck back up briefly just to give myself more light, and we've moved the shut-off valves in line. I don't know why these PEX inline ball valves that are this style, you know, this common quarter-turn style, that's a special order item. At least around me, Lowe's and Home Depot and some other True Value and everybody else, nobody had anything like this. They had everything but. So anyway, we got that in the wall. I did just stick them to this piece here, but I'm thinking now, because there's such a great amount of extra material on this face, and I want these to come into the back of the cabinet so that when you open the vanity you can turn these off in an emergency, or at least have it look nice. I'll probably end up adding this much, that's like about 1.5 inches. I'll probably add 1.5 inches, maybe just a 2x6 onto here, and then I'll move these out and stick it to the edges of that so that they actually are hanging out outside the plane of the wall. And then the back of the vanity is just a thin 1/4 inch plywood. I'll put some nice hole saw holes in there that just give you a window to turn these on and off. So we're dialing that in a little bit of massaging never hurt anybody. And we've got all the bric-a-brac paraphernalia around that. We've got spackled drying on the extended table legs all the way around and in the screw holes. I lost it in here because there was a little bit of water damage. We like this linoleum tile. It just has a great look. It's dingy, I guess. Some people may not care for it, but I think because there's so much of it and it's so, what's the word I want? It's not aggressive. It has an interesting look, but it also just disappears when you back up and then you're focused on everything else in the room. I like it a lot, and unfortunately you can't get anything like this anymore. So, because we took it off the bathroom, and we're going to do a vinyl floating floor product in the bathroom. Every single piece that came up whole I saved, and I had some from somewhere else too. Where do we have it? Oh, we found out that it was on both of these shelves. A bunch of nice whole pieces came off, which means I can make some repairs here where there was a water leak in the refrigerator before I even bought the place. Something hot sat on the floor, melted it over there, and I guess another water leak here. So there's like subfloor damage. We ripped up a couple layers of plywood. I just kept going and I scored it with a razor where you've got this nice amber color. Obviously it's healthy, and you can see the water started to migrate, and this had a bunch of like paper and BS in here, so just kept digging. It only took me about half an hour to do all of this, and even some of these tiles floated out whole, and I kept those two all in one piece. And so we're going to do some more DAP flexible subfloor repair. That's this stuff here. Floor patch and leveler. This isn't a concrete floor leveler. This is a latex based flexible leveler. That's pretty easy to work with. It air dries quickly, and so far I'm pleased with it. Ideally I would do patches. I'd cut these right out and put a new piece of subfloor in, but again, in the end this is all going to change down the road. So for now we'll do a little rubber subfloor repair, and we'll put whole tiles back in here. You'll never know that I was here, hopefully. Then we got the heater in the wall over there, like I was saying, which left us a hole to repair. And this is where I spent a lot of my time today. First things first, I cut a couple pieces of 1/2 inch OSB and screwed them into the sheeting, which is nice and thick, which is over 1 inch thick, which made that easy enough, covered the old exhaust penetration. And I had another piece, so I stuck it in this hole, so we no longer have grackles or anybody coming to visit us during the day, which we did have somebody got in and couldn't get back out and shit all over the place, so that was cool. So I got into this here, and I realized that first the wall has matched lumber on it, and then it had lath and plaster on it, and then at the chair rail, if you want to call it that, this plate of the chair rail went into the matched lumber, and then somebody put wainscot, real pieces of wainscot, pairs, vertical, that are tongue and groove themselves across in front of that. And then they added a quarter round underneath on top of the wainscot, even though the rail of the chair rail went right into the sheeting. It was a cluster fudge to the max, basically. So I got started with this 2x4 return to put a patch in the wall, and I was screwing through old wainscot and lath and stuff, and it was all splitting up, and I realized the lath just came over and stopped for some reason. I don't know why, if they cut it to take off and go this way with this wall, but the lath doesn't continue over and down the wall the way that the match lumber did. So I was splitting all the pieces and falling out, so I just ripped that all off, which changed our plane here a little bit. And it's actually going to help me that we have wainscot below and drywall above. So we're going to maintain that. I got over here and realized the window had never been framed. I took the trim off, and it's just hanging out. We found some old window weights. This is what used to counterweight the sash when you had an old wood window and you hear that thing fly down and smash somebody's fingers or something. That's a big chunk of steel, I believe, that would hang in that cavity, that somebody just cut the rope and let it fall down in there and left it when they took out the old windows and put in the vinyl inserts. So I uncovered all of that, and I found the stud that had been cut off to put this unit in the wall here, and I lapped onto him with a 2x4, and I ran down to the other end of him and I lapped onto him there. So this is in here on a layout of whatever sort, if you want to call it a layout, whatever. And this guy stayed because I was able to ultimately get a hold of the ends of this matched lumber, which does travel on down and hit several studs down there before it comes to its end. So it was hanging out in space, but now that it's attached to this, and this comes down here and attached into hole boards that proceed underneath the window and proceed over at least to here, we've really got a patch return there, and we've got a stud, and we have another existing stud, and then we have the jamb of the window. But we have a plane problem here because I got to put a patch in here. I'm going to use some beadboard that's milled to look like wainscot, and we'll just paint it the same color and it should disappear here. But I had my work cut out for me because I have the old electrical service for this heater unit, and I don't want to just put wire nuts in him and on the ends of him and leave him laying there. That's unprofessional. So I figured, well, what I'll do is I'll stick an e-box. I'll put a electrical service here, put a little outlet there, but to do that, I have to know how far out he's going to be, so that, because what you want when you have this, I see this problem a lot, people don't know how to set these up so that for success, but the face of this box needs to be flush with the final surface of the wall. It just needs to be that way. If it's off a tiny bit, there are some modifications that you can do, but often people install them flush with the framing. That's why this tab is actually on here, so you can't do that. But I see different varieties of gang boxes. Sometimes people justify it flush with the framing. Then you have a problem when you come with the drywall and they put the outlet on there. It's just a whole scenario. So that's why this guy's on here. He won't work for us because it's not as though we're just putting drywall on this wall. We've got to get back out this distance, about 3/4 of an inch. Then we've got to add the lath thickness, which varies because it's stuck into a bed of squishy plaster, which may or may not have some thickness. If it doesn't have some here, maybe it has some over there, maybe it has some over there, who knows, and on and on and on. So what did we do? To the best of my ability, I went somewhere. You don't want to go out in the middle of anywhere if you can help it. You want to go down to where it intersects another plane to get your measurement. So I put my tape up here and I came up with just shy of an inch in terms of from the surface of the lath to the surface of the lath to the surface of the wainscot. And then I came over here where it's rigid again, and I got a measurement in terms of the thickness of the match lumber and the thickness of the wainscot, or the thickness of the lath, and I added that to this, and it gave me how far off the front of the stud, because that's attached to the back of this, how far off the front of the stud does the face of the electrical box need to be? It's 2 1/4 inches. So then I hung my tape on my electrical box at 2 1/4 inches. Sorry, you old one-hander here. I got 2 1/4 and 2 1/4 and connected the line, and I made an elevation mark here at 16, which is where I like to put my baseboard electrical boxes if I can help it. And so what I can do now is I can put him on there, and I can watch that marker line, and I can get it where I want, and I can tag him into there. I selected a box that was as deep as I could find, so that I was sure that the nails weren't going to miss by the time I got it out far enough, or I was relatively positive. I'm happy to see that I was correct. And now you put your 2 nails in, and he'll hang out in space. I will snap that tab off of there. And then we're going to need to start here with 3/4 of an inch, basically, to get out to the plane of the match lumber. So I took a measurement here, a rough idea of what I needed, about 21, and I went and found a rip of 3/4 inch plywood that was basically 21. So he goes right in there. Bear it with me briefly. He just stands right in space. Pow. And that's a start. That'll get us out here, right? Right. I'm going to do something like this. Probably cut him a little shorter. Install him when there's a hole and the E-box is on and everything like that. And then I'll pour that loose cellulose insulation into this cavity until it's about topped up. And I'll make myself the final little piece. And then I'll do what I can to cram more in behind it and tip it out maybe and top it off and then roll that up and attach that. So as much as I can, I'm going to fill this wall cavity with cellulose insulation. And then I'm going to have to come up with something that'll roughly add up to the lath, which will probably be a 1/2 inch plywood or 3/8 plywood. And I'll add that right over here tight to everybody and up and up and up. I'm actually going to pair this drywall off at the inside corner and down there and probably flush with the side of the window. Oh, there's trim there, so maybe flush with the end of the window trim or something. But I'll get that off to the best of my ability. Maybe have to pop the rest of the lath off, and then everything will get the plywood solution to planing. And then a new piece of drywall will go in around here, into the corner, and it'll just be a butt end seam to do there real quick. So check that out when we get to that point.